Disney keeps sending Pixar films to Disney+, boycotting movie theaters entirely in what could only be seen as a studio hugging all the best movies for itself. Seeing how Turning Red is the third movie Disney has monopolized, it's hard not to wonder what the future now holds. Will it be a continuous trend forever? Or is it solely based on the sorry state of the box office amid the pandemic? Well, you're about to find out. Join FlickFix to uncover the truth about Disney's new mode of operation and how long it's expected to last.
Let's go.
I'm Maylin Lee. I wear what I want, say what I want, 24/7, 365.
In line with its unofficial trend of skipping the big screen for its streaming service, Disney has announced that the upcoming animated comedy Turning Red will be skipping theaters to debut directly on Disney Plus instead. If you have been counting, then you know that this is the third Pixar movie in a row to be released on Disney Plus, a move that is puzzling to industry officials and the general public at large. Turning Red will debut on Disney Plus on March 11th, and by then, it'll have been 2 years since any Pixar animated film was released in theaters. To put that in perspective, the last Pixar movie that made a theatrical debut was the magical adventure Onward, that hit theaters in March of 2020. Over the years, Pixar has established itself as the #1 creator of family-friendly animated films, so it's easy to see why Disney's decision to boycott cinemas has been an absolute nightmare for theater operators worldwide. With Pixar out of the way, there is only a small range of family films that keep the crowds coming the way action-packed superhero movies do. Some industry analysts believe that this decision is directed towards only Pixar movies, which makes sense because other Disney company films have been released in theaters during the same period Pixar movies have skipped the big screen. Over the last 2 years, Pixar films Soul and the controversial Italian fantasy drama Luca have both skipped theaters for Disney+. Albeit in that same period, Disney has released the animated fantasy film Raya and the Last Dragon in cinemas, as well as on Disney+. Also, the most recently released animated film Encanto was released exclusively to cinemas for 30 days before being added on Disney+. All these beg the question: why does Disney single out Pixar movies when they are arguably just as good or even better than other films seeing time on the big screen? Box office experts believe Disney's move of hoarding Pixar films for its streaming service isn't because of any prejudice. On the contrary, it's because of the company's high esteem for Pixar films. Pixar has had some of the most successful animated films in film history with the likes of Finding Nemo, Toy Story, Up, Ratatouille, and Coco, and others. And since Disney is concerned with growing and sustaining the number of Disney Plus subscribers, hoarding Pixar movies sounds like the way to go. With Pixar's long history of making box office hits and ageless animated films, Disney believes that keeping new releases exclusive to Disney Plus will surely bring in more subscribers and generate more internal revenue for the service. This isn't a statement against other movies and films, which of course add to the number of streams, subscribers, and money Disney Plus receives. However, Disney values Pixar for its nearly unbeatable streak in providing films that appeal to every audience. This isn't just true for Pixar's fan base of kids today, but also for a generation of young adults who grew up watching the adventures of Buzz Lightyear, Woody, Dory, and Nemo. This loyal fan base has now transcended to adults who don't need their parents to take them to the cinemas anymore. They can get both the classics and new releases by subscribing to Disney Plus. Disney is very tight-lipped on streaming numbers for individual films, but it seems that Luca and Soul must have had tremendous success on the service for them to be considering making the same move on another Pixar film.
What's wrong with you, stupido?
Since the launch of Disney Plus in 2019, Disney has experimented with exclusive Disney Plus releases as well as cinema and hybrid releases in an attempt to figure out how to improve its subscriber base and up its streaming numbers. In a statement by Kareem Daniel, chairman of Disney Media and Entertainment Distribution, the company all but admits that Pixar films are incredibly successful and hence will be made available for subscribers on Disney Plus only. In the statement, Kareem said, Disney Plus subscribers around the world enthusiastically embraced Pixar's Academy Award-winning Soul and the critically acclaimed Luca when they premiered exclusively on the service, and we look forward to bringing them Pixar's next incredible feature film, Turning Red. Taking another look at it, the state of movie theaters and cinemas since the pandemic hasn't been the same, and the number of movies and films to command a full house has been discouraging, to put it lightly. The box office is currently struggling, especially with family films, as parents aren't too keen on exposing their kids to the virus when they could just stream it on TV at home. In addition, with the current spread of the Omicron variant of the coronavirus, people aren't exactly lining up to fill up movie theaters to see a movie. Even with analysts stating that the spread and rate of infections should be significantly reduced by March when Turning Red is set to release, it's evident that Disney still places its streaming service as its priority. Another question Disney faces is, while debuting Turning Red on Disney Plus seems fair, why couldn't they release it in theaters as well, which is something they've done numerous times before? Well, some industry experts believe that in a stable market, this would be an ideal option, but alas, the market is far from stable. Taking into account the fact that Pixar films cost millions to make, sometimes reaching the $200 million mark for production alone, with promotions taking in another $100 million, making this kind of investment into a theater release with the box office in a less than desirable state is a gamble even for a multi-billion-dollar empire like Disney. It is simply a lot more expensive to promote and market a movie than it is to simply release it on a streaming service. The last Disney release to hit theaters, Encanto, was a marginal success at the box office, generating $250 million worldwide, a lot less than the studio hoped for, but still a win in the pandemic. But when Encanto made it to Disney Plus, its soundtrack became so popular it hit #1 on the Billboard 100, making it the first Disney film soundtrack to do so in over 29 years since the Aladdin theme song, A Whole New World, in 1993. With box office numbers struggling over the last 2 years, it's no surprise that Disney wants to focus more on its streaming service. But hopefully, theaters will return in full swing, and we can begin to have our favorite animated films back on the big screen. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you think Disney was doing the right thing by boycotting theaters and sending Pixar films straight to Disney Plus? Or do you think they would be better off releasing the movies in the cinemas first, as they did in the past? Let us know in the comments section below, and before you go, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to FlickFix if you haven't already.